woman. Let me be your woman. Woman, woman, woman. I can be your woman.
What if it was I'm stroking late because I'm a gooner?
Miguel, can you insert some cricket noises right there, please?
You guys don't know shit. How do you guys not know about espresso?
No.
The coffee?
I'm not like, I don't have radio.
Holy shit, I'm hearing cicadas outside. I'm hearing cicadas outside after that.
Did none of you know who Sabrina Carpenter is, like, genuinely?
I do, but I haven't heard the song.
That's crazy.
Sabrina Carpenter is like one of the main jokes between me and Cole and Spencer, like in our little group, talking Sabrina Carpenter shit all the time.
God, that's so gay. The three of you are so fucking gay.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
No, she's dating Barry Keoghan from Saltburn. She's a pop singer who rose to fame
She's
after
like a
she
former Disney kid.
opened for what's her name? Taylor Swift. And previously, she was best known for starring in the Disney Channel original show Dog with a Blog. That was all off the dome, by the way. I wasn't reading that off Wikipedia.
I was thinking of Karen Carpenter. I don't know who Sabrina Carpenter is.
She's a pop singer, similar to Karen Carpenter, except she doesn't. From the looks of her, she doesn't have anorexia.
Poor Karen Carpenter.
Was she an only child or what?
I don't know. I don't know what Sabrina Carpenter's home life is.
You should dedicate like another 20 minutes to finding that out.
We should. Yeah.
Let's not even talk about this wretched goddamn movie.
Let's find every single excuse to not talk about Wonder Woman 1984.
She's hot. Like Stu, you'd like her. She's a woman.
Look more like Blunder Woman 1488.
Liz, let's talk about the brunch we had.
Oh yeah, we had a pretty good brunch. Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, I treated Liz and Angie to brunch on July 4th, and it was very lovely. And before that, we got serenaded by a street rapper who apparently also serenaded Spencer back when he lived in Boston, which was insane. Shout out Genghis Swan, by the way. Shout out Genghis Swan.
Genghis Swan.
And she has 3 older sisters and was homeschooled. Get fucked.
Okay. No, but it wasn't no older brothers, so it's not like any of them.
We're not going to be able to recreate the Carpenters.
Yeah.
We could do like a Toxic Yuri kind of the Carpenter.
let's do an only Barbie remake of Superstar. Like no Kens.
They should do an only Barbie remake of Dog with the Blog, dude. They should do an only dog. I'm gonna say that if any of you seen Dog with a Blog, I don't think I've seen Dog with a Blog.
You're making that up. That's not a real thing.
No, it's a real show.
It's a real show
on the Disney Channel, dude.
No, your brain is just assembling words randomly.
No, I swear to God.
It's a real
At the risk of wasting
show.
any more time on this episode, it's a real fucking show.
It's a real show. I remember thinking it sucked compared to Good Luck Charlie, which was the unsung hero of 2010's Disney Channel.
You just said you didn't watch it.
Yeah, from the ads. Like I was like, oh, this is like some whack ass, fake ass. You know, you can have opinions on things without seeing them. I was like, oh, this wishes it had the joie de vivre that Good Luck Charlie had.
Yeah, but it didn't compare to Max Keebler's big move. Was that Nickelodeon or Disney?
I forget. That was a movie. That wasn't a show.
The Elf?
Was that the one where Paul Giamatti was the bad guy?
No, that's Big Fat Liar.
Oh, right.
It's Max Keeble's big move.
Yeah, I always thought it was Max Keebler.
I thought it was Max Keebler.
Yeah, like the elves. A kid in like a rumpled, unbuttoned plaid shirt with spiked hair, but he's an elf that lives in a tree and makes cookies.
I'm working late because I'm a Keebler. I'm gonna do a Max Keeble to the child sex offender registry speed run. I'm gonna see how many Hollywood Wikipedia links it takes to get. Okay, that's a dead end right there. James Greer. That's a dead end right there too.
I think Josh Peck might have been in that movie.
Yeah.
Wait.
There's your route.
Robert Carradine to David Carradine.
Oh shit.
Let's go. Under two. New world record.
All right, nice.
We should do a podcast where we watch every episode of Kung Fu and then do Percocet.
I would have done a Josh Peck strat, which would have been like 3, but
Was he in Max Keeble's Big Move?
I thought he was.
I don't think so. It wasn't on the Wikipedia page.
it was in Snow Day.
Oh, I vaguely remember that movie.
Wait. He has a minor part in the film.
Yes! Film autism wins again.
That's amazing.
Damn. Okay, so we still haven't gone under 2. If we could hit under 1. Actually, let's check Rotten.
I like how Josh Peck became Drake Bell's personal Richard Carpenter.
Let's check. There's a website you can look up like people that were canceled on a movie. Let's see. Max Keeble's Big Move. Damn, dude, it is completely clean. This movie has no known affiliation to anyone with allegations of sexual misconduct against them.
Oh, so it's got unknown Hollywood sickos.
Yeah.
We just don't know yet.
Absence of evidence is not evidence that there's no child rape.
Let's go Wonder Woman 1988, 1488 or whatever the fuck. Wonder Woman. Okay, I don't think this is true. This Wonder Woman 1984, this movie has no known affiliation to anyone with allegations of sexual assault against them. Didn't Brett Ratner produce these movies?
No.
No.
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Welcome to Marvelous or the Death of Cinema. On this episode, Wonder Woman 1984, a triumph of feminist film inspiring women and girls around the world to catfight with their best friend because their best friend got a glow up.
Boo! That's the sound of me throwing tomatoes. Boo!
And we have a special guest, Nicole, who renounced her second mic status to me real quick because of how bad the movie was.
We watched. Liz visited me. Welcome back, Liz. Pleasure to have you back.
Hi.
We got to do the thing because we're a real podcast. I am Discourse Stew.
I am now ex-co-host of Marvelous, Nicole. Because this movie was so fucking awful. I literally turned to Liz as we were watching this movie and said, I fucking quit.
Nicole will be back next episode when we do a movie that she likes.
That's true, actually. The next,
Nicole, you have to introduce yourself. We can't even get through the intro without getting distracted.
I'm Cold Steel the Hedgehog. I was born with a special power. I was stronger than all my friends in the Sonic Fighting Academy. I served in the Sonic military fighting Shadow, and in the final battle against Shadow, they were fighting.
If you're doing this off the top of your head, you're like showing me dimensions I never knew about you.
I can only do the first 2 sentences off my head. I'm Cole Netscape.
Okay. Hi, Cole.
All right. And okay, so we got to be careful joking about Nicole quitting the show because there are many members of our audience that cannot read tone.
That's true.
Yeah.
They cannot discern sarcasm, and they will be very upset.
Oh yeah,
listen,
dude,
I know we joke about the Melanie Mac following, but I genuinely don't want to have that sort of cult personality around myself.
It's too late, buddy. It's too fucking late.
You should be a VTuber.
That could be my second career.
We can all do that new Megan Thee Stallion dance where they're like, "Watashi no sta." What? That shit's so fun, dude. I love that song. That's a great
love
song.
Meg.
They lied on her, dude. They tried to say that. Actually, she might have done some
that
stuff.
She didn't get shot.
No, she has like a case pending where she forced
yeah.
Wasn't she on the Mandalorian one episode?
No, it was She-Hulk.
I will kill for you, Megan Thee Stallion. Oh, you are way more fun than my last lawyer.
Actually, no, Lizzo was on The Mandalorian.
It was Lizzo who was on The Mandalorian.
Like a week before the Lizzo allegations dropped, that she was like sticking a gun in women's pussy and being like, "Don't make me pull the trigger, or I'll fucking eat you."
She was married to Jack Black, and
she was.
Who's also an IDF affiliate.
That's crazy.
He's a little bit weird.
We're gonna have to bleep all this since it's all like allegedly kind of stuff, but there is actually a bit that we might be able to unbleep that I'm not allowed to talk about it on the show, but no, it's not what you think. There was Miguel, bleep all this. Neil has pending allegations against him involving the that we were talking about that we had to bleep on the other episode.
Oh, okay.
Miguel, you can stop bleeping.
Our audience is really going to enjoy the hot goss about bleep having bleeps pending about the bleeps that we bleeped.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, bleeps X bleep was bleeping bleeper. She was pretty cool.
Okay, I don't even know. I'm so tired. It's so hot out. It's too hot out for me to make inferences. All right, but you know who has never done anything wrong? Movie
Gal Gadot.
film star Gal. Yes, thank you.
Oh yeah,
I think you were just saying the punchline out loud.
Gal Gadot.
Gal's got to go
to hell. Gal, go to hell.
You know what? Do we want to start again from the top?
Let's start again. Let's take it from the top.
All wrong.
Yeah, the energy.
All right,
all right,
fine.
Okay.
All right. Do we all want to delete our recordings and start again?
No, it's fine. There's good stuff.
Sorry, Miguel.
No.
I hope you didn't spend 20 minutes editing all that.
He has it. We'll tell him in the future.
All right. Right, okay.
We'll tell him, and then we'll kill his mom, so that it creates a fucked up timeline where Batman's dad is Batman.
All right, okay. Everyone shut the hell up.
Yeah, and his wife is Joker.
Let me start the show. Let me start the show. just
all right.
Let me start the show. Let me get through a bit or an idea, and let's all just really work on the not talking at the same time thing.
All right.
Please.
Okay.
It's a woman's world and you're lucky to be living in it. This is my fight song. Woman, let me be a woman. Woman. I can be a woman.
Welcome everyone to Marvelous or the Death of Cinema. On this episode, Wonder Woman 1984, a movie about powerful women who have never done anything wrong. I'm Discourse Stu.
I'm Nicole, and I basically almost quit the show because of this movie.
I'm Cole Netscape.
I'm Liz. I might be second, or what are you?
Yeah, Liz is
third
gonna
or
replace
second,
me.
Mike?
I'm
Yeah.
second Mike. I'm one
Wait.
of the OGs. So
So-
you get all my shares.
Wait,
'cause
so
as agreed upon when we watch this.
Andy threw me off. He said like, "Oh, congrats on becoming third Mike." Does that mean Cole was second Mike the whole time?
Why
Like,
would you, first of all, why would you listen to Andy?
yeah, he doesn't know what's up. But second of all, how does Nicole leaving the podcast and us hiring Liz as a bit suddenly mean that Nicole the second spot is not vacated to the third host? What is this fucking like matrilineal succession bullshit?
Yeah.
I'm starting a legitimacy crisis.
We need an org chart. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm first Mike.
The constitution of the Marvelous podcast.
I'm first Mike, always and forever. Whatever happens underneath, that's irrelevant. You're all competing for second place.
We're all
Doesn't
kicking
matter.
up to the capo, you know.
Now, as God Emperor of the podcast, I'm going to take it upon myself to get us back on topic. Wonder Woman 1984, the biggest movie of 2020.
And one of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever fucking seen in my life. Guys, if you can't tell, this is one of those episodes where the thing I watched made me physically angry.
Nicole is actually really mad.
Yeah.
Liz got to see firsthand what a Nicole movie, god awful, this is evil, I'm watching evil incarnate, what that looks like. Liz can attest to the fact at the end of this movie, when Linda Carter shows up, I took off both of my shoes and punted them on the ground.
You were so loud.
Oh, she was good in that scene. Hop off, Linda.
You really needed a tiara you could just throw into your TV.
Oh, we were throwing barrettes.
We were throwing like hair clips and hair ties at the screen, and like I believe Nicole screamed into a pillow.
Yeah, I grabbed a throw pillow and I screamed into it. At the end, we started screaming, "We love Israel!"
Yeah.
I think I was shaking. I told you, Liz, come here, look at me. My arm is literally shaking.
And I also got on camera video of Nicole renouncing her second mic.
Yep.
And
you are my
I swooped right in.
I'm quitting the show. I'm quitting the show, everybody.
Okay, because people are gonna feel like it's not a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Do not unsubscribe from the Patreon.
We
Do not
still
panic.
have a hot girl. Don't worry. It's not just two autistic. fucking getting mad about, I don't know, the Church of the, what was that bullshit Dada church you mentioned on what episode?
Are you talking about the Church of the Sun?
Yeah, this shit pissed me off so much, dude.
Why?
I don't know. It was a very Stewian reveal.
All right, neither here nor there. Okay, where do we start with this fucking movie? This movie is such a fucking mess.
Good luck with this fucking plot summary. It's a challenge to you and you specifically.
Why don't you give us a concise plot summary? And I am to show my fealty to my Aryan master, Tyrell. I'm gonna shut up by muting myself.
Oh my god!
It's a miracle.
All right.
Truly, through the power of women, anything is possible. Okay, where do I start?
This is like a movie designed against the concise plot summary.
It's okay.
This is
So many of these
hours. 2.5 hours of my
all
life
of these
fucking
movies
gone.
have so much plot, but so little happens. It's bizarre.
I got like confused. Granted, I left the room for about 30 minutes, so like, I was really hungry.
Don't admit to that. People pay us to watch this shit.
I rewinded though. That's the thing. I rewinded. I was still confused.
Why didn't you just pause it?
I liked. I thought I could follow it
Might
from
have
like
been
the
peeking
sound
on
in my
the-
kitchen, you know. And I could not follow it at all. It was like, okay, they have the wishing rock, and they're in Agrabah.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make this happen. 10,000 years ago, on the incredibly boring island of incredibly boring women, they're doing fake Olympics, and they're making women run an obstacle course, and baby Wonder Woman is running the obstacle course, and then she falls off her horse, and so she takes a shortcut down an aqueduct, and that's considered cheating. And then she gets a little lecture about cheating and truth and lies and how nothing good comes from lies. Remember
Even
that.
though it's like a child-sized slide made exclusively for her because there are no other children on.
Concise plot
Who
summary.
the fuck cares if you go off the... sorry.
Concise plot summary. I'm taking the child-sized slide of narrative, and I need you to not stop me up until I'm at the bottom.
Okay.
All right. Flash forward to the year 1984, and you can tell it's the year 1984 because everybody has clothing and hairdo that they took out of magazines from 1984. Nobody's got out-of-date fashions from 1983. It's all just straight down the line. There's a shopping mall, and a bunch of guys are robbing a gem store that has a magic rock for some reason. Wonder Woman stops them, and then she winks at a little black girl. Meanwhile, her alter ego, Diana Prince, is working as an antiquarian with Kristen Wiig, who is a huge dork loser, and they just really hammer home that she's a huge dork loser. There's also Pedro Pascal, who is kind of Donald Trump and kind of Tony Robbins, but also he's an oil man. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, there's a magic wishing rock, and if you wish on it, your wish is granted, but then you have some sort of ironic loss of something important, like your health or your humanity or whatever. Kristen Wiig accidentally wishes to be like Wonder Woman. So now she's super strong, but she's lost her humanity. So she kind of starts acting too cool for the dorky friend of the actual cool girl boss woman. That makes her bad. Also, she beats up a guy that tried to rape her in the park, and that makes her bad. Diana wishes for Chris Pine to be alive again. And the whole movie just periodically grinds to a halt so that he can do montages of trying on outfits and he can gawk at space shuttles and stuff. Pedro Pascal wishes to be the wishing rock so he can grant other people's wishes and then take their precious things from them. And so he goes around the world monopolizing all the oil. That's what he does with all of this power for the first 3/4 of the movie, is he gets people to wish for things, and he takes their oil. There's an oil-rich emir in Egypt who wishes for his ancestral lands to be returned to him. This causes a giant wall to spring up, isolating one of the slums of Cairo.
God damn it.
Okay.
Fucking Christ.
God, this movie just meanders around aimlessly for so much of the middle part of it. Eventually, Wonder Woman figures out what's going on. Her and Chris Pine go to Egypt to stop Pedro Pascal, and they just kind of steal the car chase from The Last Crusade. And then Wonder Woman lassos a rocket, an RPG, a little RPG rocket. She lassos it to slingshot herself to rescue some children playing on the road so they'll get run over by the armored convoy they've been fighting on. Which I don't know how these children did not hear all the gunfire and explosions and promptly get off the fucking road, but there you go. Women are always, children are always playing soccer in the middle of, major highways full of tank traffic.
That's just standard IDF up practice.
Anyway, I don't know. A bunch more bullshit happens. Pedro Pascal goes to the president and gets more power and access to a satellite network because the being the wishing stone's killing him. The president, who's like not Reagan, wishes for more nukes, and now a nuclear war is going to start. The whole world is just falling apart just because of all these wishes being granted. Then she goes to stop Pedro Pascal, but Kristen Wiig stops Wonder Woman because she doesn't want to stop being cool and strong and go back to being a huge dork.
She looks like Kesha.
Then Pedro Pascal goes to a secret military island and he uses the satellite network to beam himself to the whole world, every screen in the world. And he starts receiving all of everyone's wishes and granting all of them, causing even more chaos. There's an Arab guy wishes for a nuke. A woman wishes for her Irish husband to be deported along with all the other Irish. I don't know, some other stuff happens. And Wonder Woman realizes that in order to stop this, either she has to kill Pedro Pascal or everyone has to renounce her wishes. So she renounces her wish that brought Chris Pine back to life, and he just sort of disappears. Oh, also, when he comes back to life, he just steals another guy's body and life and apartment, but no one is bothered by this. Anyway, she goes to the island. She has a literal cat fight with Kristen Wiig, who for some reason gets 2 wishes and becomes a cat person. And then she confronts Pedro Pascal, but the power of granting wishes causes like a little gust of wind. And he's granting so many wishes that now there's a vortex of wind and she can't touch him. But she uses her lasso of truth, which is the power she embodies, as opposed to the wishing stone, which is embodied by an ancient god of lies. And it somehow kind of forces everybody through the power of truth to renounce all their wishes, which are all uniformly cruel and selfish. So the whole world is full of selfish people that make awful wishes. But all of them, every single person in the world, even the emir and then the guy that wants a nuke and not Ronald Reagan, renounce their wishes for the good of the world. And the day is saved and everybody's kind of redeemed. And Pedro Pascal has a heartwarming moment with his son where he's like, I'm a huge piece of shit, but I love you. And the son is like, I don't care if you're a huge piece of shit. I love you too, because you're my dad. And Wonder Woman's like, damn, it's so hard to be me, but I'm also the best at everything and an empowering icon of femininity or something. And then, we cut to the end credits where they have like a really corny cameo for Linda Carter. And that's like just 2.5 hours of bullshit. The end.
My life was wasted by this movie. I mean, so many of these movies that we watch are like complete time waste, but
Linda Carter was fine.
No, this is a very corny thing to do.
This was despicable.
I didn't mind
this was
Linda
the kind
Carter
of
thing.
Okay, whatever about Linda Carter. Let's just.
I mean, I thought like it was like insult to injury. It was like a twist of a knife that had already been stabbed with like 80 times.
Yeah, it just feels like a. It was
what more could I have taken? We were pausing the movie like every 10, 15 minutes just to like catch our breath because of just how awful this experience was.
Okay, nothing so aside from like the fake Olympics and the opening little action scene, which is like has like Looney Tunes action where like guys are like spinning around on tops and shit. Nothing happens for like an hour and a half. I mean, stuff happens in terms of plot points, but like
stuff
nothing
does
actually
happen.
happens.
Stuff does happen, and it's all like that awful like pop feminist liberal like cultural commentary, you know, just like
But that's not
stuff about like exactly. Well, it's stuff in the sense that this is like the most brain dead, like personally insulting shit to me.
Like nothing happens that's engaging.
Yeah.
Exactly, but it's still stuff.
Nothing
I just wanna
happens
say,
that moves the plot forward. It's like they go through a scene of like scenes of like hypotheticals and like a fucking sexual assault training video.
Here's an example of like a scene from what I'm like talking about where like nothing happens, because this is what happens. Diana will walk into a room and every guy is just throwing dick at her. And it's all just like a woman walk. It's literally like that woman walking through NYC like video, and that was like got in trouble because she was mostly walking through fucking black neighborhoods. So I just want to say the conception of patriarchy in this movie is, I mean, not only just all fucking wrong, but completely relies on envisioning patriarchy as a matter of individual behavior and whatnot, as opposed to like a systemic thing. And I can't help but associate that with just like the wishes conceit. Again, like everyone clearly wishes for something fucking selfish. There's apparently no one in this fucking world that wishes for like, I wish for, you know, I wish for people to not be hungry. I wish for world peace. It's no, I wish for this Irish Slav to be fucking deported. I wish for nuclear weapons from a guy who is clearly like an Arab freedom fighter. So enjoy that fucking visual association.
They should
basically, this all of this rage is to say I'm fucking glad that this destroyed Patty Jenkins' career. You know what? At the risk of being fucking crucified as like, you know, because she was seen as this untouchable female director, like super successful, the face of like the Equal Pay for Directors Act. No, I'm fucking glad her career was destroyed by this. This was fucking awful.
At least Catherine Bigelow made some heaters before she did Zero Dark 30.
I'm tag teaming in. I'm going Chud mode. Zack Snyder was the only reason why people thought she had any juice. Actually, it was literally all a man.
No, I agree. I'll agree.
Yeah, but woke. But actually, but woke and intersectional.
I like how
you know what's
the whole thing of Patty Jenkins is that they kind of gave her a lot of control over this movie, and one of her like stipulations is that she wanted two prologues, like one about the island, one about the mall, just to like set more shit up, even though like it would have been fine with just the mall scene. Like I don't think setting up the armor and like needing to, because it doesn't feel like that was even like the point of the movie compared to everything else.
Feels like something that was 3 scripts. Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the fucking like black hole in the room. That is there's two. There's two. One,
there's one major one that made me is the main reason I was just
no. That's neither of them. That's neither of them, buddy.
Oh, well, okay.
The one is, this movie is clearly a like well-off rich white woman seething about Trump.
Yes. Oh, completely.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
And being like Yas queened into like delivering just a really half-baked, awful narrative that also tries to like redeem the Trump character. Just bizarre. And the other elephant in the room is that like the entire studio was shitting itself at the time. So there's like things in this movie that feel like they're from other films or that they're from previous versions of the script. And the biggest one to me was just the weird golden eagle armor that Diana has that's from fucking Kingdom Come. Like, why is that in that?
Yeah, I left that out of the plot summary because it doesn't actually matter. So Linda Carter's character, who appears in the end, is this mythical Amazon who, when all the men tried to enslave the Amazons, the Amazons all melted down their armor to make one super armor that one woman would wear to single-handedly hold off an entire army and die while everyone else got away. Which that's so stupid.
Based on, I didn't put this in the source material section because I forgot it was in the movie. But there's a character called Diana Trevor, And
Yes.
if you know anything about Wonder Woman, these two, both of the names should set off
Steve Trevor.
anything. She's
Trevor.
Steve Trevor's mom, and she's kind of loosely based on the women civilian air fighter pilots that they had during World War II, and also like obviously Amelia Earhart. And basically, she's testing the Sabre jet, the F-86 Sabre jet, and ends up getting struck by lightning, crashes on the Amazon island right when this like demon that's being kept under the island manages to like break containment. It's some obscure Greek mythology thing. I forget what it is, but it's depicted as like this huge blob with many hands, this huge dark blob that just like acidically burns whatever it touches. And she manages to hold it off, but she gets trapped in like the cave as they're sealing it. And she sacrifices herself, and they end up recovering her remains. And this is the first time they've ever had any outside contact with any kind of like person from the world since
outside of Paradise Island, pretty much.
Yes, it wasn't like a Greek guy from 1,000 years ago. And so they piece together. They don't know what any of this shit is, but they piece together that obviously she was a woman of some importance because she had, badges and stuff. And she becomes the inspiration for this armor that ends up becoming the Wonder Woman armor that's based on like a logo that she was wearing on like her jacket. And like she had an American flag. So they use like the red, white, and blue because they think that's her like family crest. And they end up, they figure out what a gun is because of her. They're like, holy shit, this thing is like God. A very Zardoz kind of thing. And they end up, that's where the bracelets come from. They create these bracelets that can deflect bullets. And they end up giving, of course, Diana, the Wonder Woman, the name of Diana Trevor because she's like an honored figure. So that was where that came from, but then the armor itself is from Alex Ross and Mark Waid's Kingdom Come. No idea why it's included in the film. Back to you guys.
Okay.
I omitted it from the concise plot summary because it's so pointless. They set it up, then Diana puts it on, and then she just kind of stands there with it hiding under the wings while Kristen Wiig in bad CGI Cats, the film CGI cat person shit, just rips it apart, and then they fight like normal. It's so pointless. It doesn't need to be in the movie.
It's for the poster, really. It's for like just that little bit of marketability and merchandise. Which, by the way, the rest of this movie, it doesn't feel like. Interestingly, like you remember, like when Man of Steel came out, they had all the fucking like. They had that Sears, Superman figure with that breakable motorcycle and shit. This has no potential for toys or anything like that. So I think the armor, it was mainly for the poster, which is like extremely colorful and stupid. And in the middle of it is Diana in the stupid fucking armor.
This movie definitely felt like they were this was another attempt to kind of MCUify the DC movies.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
To make it lighter and quippier. The color saturation's way up.
So ugly.
You can also tell that they've kind of started to give up on following the Snyder canon at all because this kind of just contradicts.
Yes, Nobody talks about the Great Wishing Crisis of 1984 that nearly destroyed the entire world and its economy.
Nobody talks about that. The island is completely different from it's not like the Snyder locations look different across every movie. Like they were pretty consistent location-wise as to what the island looks like. And granted, it's in the past, so it might look different, but the island looked completely different. It was more colorful. There was all this shit going on that just completely contradicted that. So it feels like, we're very solidly in the MCU or the DCEU's fuck it, try everything. Era.
Which is really interesting for how big this movie is. Like it's too big. That's the main problem. Is that like everything revolves around Wonder Woman and her getting through fucking Donald Trump and. But at the same time, it feels so empty.
So that's the thing about so many of these movies I mentioned earlier. They all have too many plot threads.
Yeah.
And it means that the story is so crowded with plot beats that none of them stand out, and then nothing really happens. It reminds me, you know what? Some of the TV shows that have come out the last few years, like I watched some of that Lord of the Rings show, and it's like, rather than having mini arcs that complete within an episode, it's like every episode, every one of your cast of 5,000 people gets one scene over the whole hour. And so it's like if you watched 5 different movies, and every time a scene in one of those movies finished, you switch to the next movie.
Yeah.
So you have this like weird, terrible pacing, and these movies now feel like they're taking that way of
the Star Trek, the new Star Trek shows do that, where it's like one episode's worth of character development stretched out to a whole season, where every reveal is treated as the biggest thing ever.
Yeah, it's like instead of having an episode for this, an episode for that, you have 10 hour-long episodes playing alongside each other for 10 hours.
Yeah.
And these movies feel like they're just taking that really, really shitty way of approaching storytelling and then cramming it back down to movie length.
I know.
Well,
So you get like
this was co-written by Patty Jenkins. She didn't write the first one. That was I believe
Yes,
Jeff Johns.
it was
himself?
no, it was 4. There was 4 different writers in the first one. It was Chris
so
Terrio.
This one was her.
Jeff Johns, Patty, and I think Snyder as well.
Wow.
And then
I don't think she. No, I don't think she. I'm not gonna fucking check. But this fucking
I swear
abomination was written by Johns and Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, most
Wonder Woman was it was, the story was Wonder Woman 2017. That was Alan Heinberg on screenplay, and story by Snyder and Fuchs, Jason Fuchs, who's known for Ice Age
Jason Fox.
Continental. Yeah.
Oh, wait,
he's known for
was Jeff
Ice
Johns
Age Continental Drip.
not even involved. Hold on.
well, I mean, who knows who worked on these things?
I think he was he was producing it, obviously. Like,
No,
Yeah,
I guess
like,
that wasn't
there.
that before he got bumped up.
nah, he was executive producer for Wonder Woman.
Okay, gotcha.
He was a direct producer for Justice.
Oh yeah, no, he
I guess that was,
directly.
like,
I guess
the
he
bump
directly
up.
stepped in. Now, another thing I didn't cover in the source material that I just want to get out of the way. Jeff Johns does not know how to write Wonder Woman, like, at all. Like the two
Clearly not.
biggest. He wrote two very important Wonder Woman stories that are dog shit. Which the first one he wrote was Infinite Crisis, and the lead into Infinite Crisis, which reintroduced the character of Maxwell Lord as like a supervillain who was creating this AI satellite that was going to create robots to destroy the world. That part was fine. I don't give a shit about that. But then at the end, he has Wonder Woman publicly murder Maxwell Lord on television because he has mind powers and some other... I don't know. Infinite Crisis sucks. But
Yeah.
and it's bad, and I don't like Wonder Woman just outright killing people. It's weird. I don't like it. But anyways, he also wrote her introduction into the New 52 relaunch, where I kind of get why they cast Gal Gadot to play this version of the character, because she
don't
is
know those.
functionally in the Justice League stuff.
Yeah.
She is like she like, there's a scene in the Justice League comic where she doesn't know what like dessert is. She's like, oh, who made this dessert? This must be a master chef on your world. It's like, do you not understand just like the concept of like cooking, you know?
What is this? You humans you call ice cream?
Yeah, she's played like an alien who then like they hook her up with Superman in that. Oh, dude, she wants to like fuck or kill every guy she sees. It's awful.
Yeah.
Jeff Johns, fraud alert, officially back on Fraud Watch for this one.
Total fraud. And also, I don't understand how Maxwell Lord was adapted so fucking weirdly for this
dude,
movie.
it's
Because
so
they
like-
needed a Trump. They
Yeah.
needed a Trump.
Yeah, but
They
here's the
just
Trump thing is that if they wanted to go more with Trump, they would have like made more of a backstory for Maxwell Lord, because he's just some guy named Max Lorenzano or something. And
Oh yeah, they do the drum.
I don't
thing.
even know that's his name.
Yeah, because-
but here's the thing: is that like Maxwell Lord is like the fourth Maxwell Lord in general. There's like a whole bunch of Maxwell Lords. They're from a lineage of rich assholes.
Man. He's broke.
Yeah.
They're like, which makes him like being the Trump surrogate in this movie, and then at the end revealing his like sympathetic, sad backstory. Like, makes no fucking sense.
You know what's funny?
It's an attempt to just have a Trump surrogate in there without any of the fucking juice, because the liberal feminists who like because this is like the worst parts of liberal feminism, like boiled down to its essence and turned into a blockbuster. And what that section doesn't understand, like their problems with Trump don't go beyond the surface level, really.
He spreads.
What's funny?
This movie is all fucking Mary Sue ass petty, like teen Vogue era, like post-Trump complaints about manspreading, about talking back to your female coworker who just got passed up for her like $300,000 paying job. It's all about microaggressions. It's all about like fucking street harassment. It's all this like just the headline like blogosphere bull fucking shit. And I'm just gonna say if that's not even the main reason for my vitriol. The main reason for my vitriol towards this movie is because there is a fucking ongoing genocide going on in Palestine.
Before we get into that,
let me finish.
I had a point about the Trump thing. Oh.
I will say go ahead with the Trump thing. I just want to say there is this movie. We talk about movies that have aged really badly after like the Trump moment. This is maybe the worst one I've ever fucking seen, because I mean, beyond the fact that the star of this has served in the IDF, an army that is currently killing men, women, and children in blowing off children's faces in ways that are like fucking unrecognizable and undiagnosed in like medical fucking journals. Beyond that, the fact that Gal Gadot tried to screen that like IDF like October 7th footage for like hand-picked celebrities and people around Hollywood. Ignoring that, the fact that there is just shit in this movie, as soon as they got to Egypt, my stomach started fucking hurting. As soon as that fucking magical wall appeared and there's that line about the water supply being cut off, I was seeing red. Okay.
Yeah.
Cole, go ahead.
It doesn't hit now after coming across the children's faces being blown off, but I just wanted to say that they do. It's really funny. They have a throwaway character in this who's supposed to be Simon Stagg from the Metamorpho comics, and he would have been a better Trump XP in that, because he's like a big dumb fat guy who inherited all of his money and uses it for like stupid vanity projects. Like, it's funny that
I was just going to say, if we can just kind of take one topic at a time here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I needed to get that out.
Okay, for the Trump thing, one of the big problems is there's some compulsion that every villain has to be sort of sympathetic, which I get. Like, it's true that there's a lot of people that do bad things that have kind of core motivations or whatever. But there's also a lot of people in the world that, maybe it's abuse or whatever that made them that way. But some people are really just shitty. They're just narcissists and sociopaths with no inner life and no capacity for introspection. And like Trump is one of those people.
No, like
you can just depict a character who's just that shitty, who has no redemptive quality or no hidden inner light. Some people just are that shitty. Yeah. And you can't make your Trump satire work without that.
If she had to, if the answer wasn't, because the answer obviously is, they introduced the son character, and it's his. Actually, I was riffing out earlier before we got on mic about Trump trying to hype up his adopted Asian son. Like,
what ethnicity was his son?
His son
I
was
turned to Liz at one point, and I thought the old guy was like, I thought Maxwell was like gay because that old guy is the business partner. I'm like, is that his boyfriend?
No, he just has like a divorced Asian wife that's like off screen for the whole
that we never see.
That we never see.
That's another.
I want you to meet my son, my new son, my old sons. They're no good. I got rid of them. I've got a new son. He's Chinese.
I got
he's a Chinese son.
In the bit that I was riffing out, his son's name was Fu Manchu.
He's named Fu Manchu. I don't know if that's his real name. That's what I call him. He's Chinese to Chinese. They're the best. They're so good. They build great big walls. So I got a Chinese
You got
son.
the
He's so
long
much
mustache?
better than my crappy
He
American
strokes
son.
his damn.
He strokes his mustache.
He has a large mustache. We love it.
No, he's still a toddler, but he's just he doesn't know how to pronounce his son's ethnic Chinese name.
He's a toddler, but he's got the mustache and the rice patty hat.
He's got a beautiful mustache. I gave him so much land. He's going to do good things in the land.
I went to Xinjiang province. I saw the Three Gorges Dam. It was beautiful.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, this is just a bizarre film. This is just they definitely picked Egypt. Very funny. You could tell they were thinking a little bit. They're like, shit, Israeli star. We're going to the Middle East. How do we play this? And they just
Should have stayed away from the fucking Middle East.
only mention Israeli client states. Like they have the characters like, no, I will not sell you my oil. I am selling it to the more noble country, the House of Saud. It's
Yeah,
like,
he already sold his oil to the Saudis,
Yeah.
and so Pedro
Give me a
Pascal
fucking
takes
break.
his personal security
come
force.
on.
But like, what?
and of course Egypt is just like Israel too. Like it's just
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah,
But,
1 year.
But it's a classic move where you take something bad that you or I guess your client or whatever does, and then you put it on the opposite side. So it's this Amir's wish that Pedro Pascal grants that causes an Arab population slum to become isolated from food and water by a giant wall in Egypt.
I didn't even put that together.
Same as like the Call of
Yeah.
Duty game
Yeah.
that had the Russians doing something they
that was-
literally called the Highway of Death.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was so good. That was awesome because like you look at the writing staff and like half of them are like sock she they.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with the liberal quasi progressive identity stuff is it's so individualized and it hinges so much on your personal identity and not like general social relationships that you
Right.
can just be like, oh yeah, I'm progressive, I'm pro gay rights, I'm a feminist, I'm non-binary, and you can go work for the CIA and
Yeah.
just assassinate trade
That's this
union
movie.
leaders in Guatemala.
Actually, I'm
That's
not.
this fucking movie.
Hold on, let me
personified
control
into a
F.
human being.
How many references of the CIA do we have in the notes right now? There's a couple. There's two big ones that are.
there?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I didn't finish all the.
There's one that was news to me that Nicole put in the comments. That thank
Oh,
you.
you didn't know that? You didn't know Gloria Steinem worked for the CIA?
No, because I was
Yeah.
researching.
yeah, I
the
remember
reason-
hearing about
wait,
that.
no, it was the I actually no. Was it the CIA or the FBI? I thought it was the
It was
CIA.
FBI,
but
right?
She was,
It was FBI.
but she was still an asset to a government agency.
COINTELPRO.
I was.
Oh no, it was CIA. My bad. It was CIA. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
it's CIA.
That makes her worse.
I was just looking up, her involvement in consulting on the 1987 Wonder Woman reboot that we'll get to later.
Can I bring up just again? I mentioned it earlier, and this is just kind of some backstory for this movie because there was nothing really that stood out to me about like the production of it itself. It's more about like the run up to the movie off the success of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, why don't you walk us through
2017?
the behind the scenes and all the studio bullshit?
So we can't talk about this movie without talking about the fact that like after Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins became like the biggest female director of the moment. Like, as I said, the face of the equal pay sort of for directors campaign. She actually
should have paid her less.
in working on this movie, she negotiated for a higher salary between like $7 and $9 million, and that was like a month's long process for her. So the theory as to why this movie is such a mess becomes really obvious when you realize she got a insane amount of control over this product, and clearly she shouldn't, because the biggest thing I walked away from this movie, or one of the biggest things I walked away from this movie is that she's a fraud of the same sort of level as Emerald Fennel, which coincidentally, because this movie, like the last couple of 2020 releases we have talked about, more similar to New Mutants, got pushed back several times. It was originally supposed to come out December 13, 2019, so like literally over a year before it was actually released. It was moved up to November 2019. Then it got delayed to June 20th June 5th of 2020. Got delayed again for COVID to August and theaters closing. Got delayed again to October, and then to Christmas Day, mostly in reaction to Tenet, which was like released in the summer of 2020 as like a way to sort of test the waters.
Imagine bowing to fucking Tenet. Holy shit.
To bowing to fucking Tenet.
Yeah.
That's like losing to fucking Yamcha, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. But the other thing I want to hold this movie not singularly accountable for, but it helped set a precedent that we are currently seeing the rotten fruit of, and I'm talking about sort of the death of the theatrical experience, because this was a movie when they moved it up to December. They co-released it on HBO Max at no extra cost, which they had already sort of done something similar on Disney Plus for Mulan, but that was like at an added like premium fee.
Yes.
So this movie, and I want to know, HBO Max launched in May 27th of 2020. So this whole sort of the mindset and the reasoning for doing this was definitely to help boost subscribers for HBO Max. And I got this from Deadline that WB actually lowered their cut of rental revenue to like 40 to 45% from like 60% in order to get the theaters to actually play this movie relative to like other tentpole releases where they take a bigger cut of the theatrical rental revenue.
God, you know what I just realized?
Because theaters saw they were going to stream this directly onto HBO Max, and they were like, "Well, what the fuck? What are we like? Why would we play this in theaters then?" Yes. What did you realize?
There's a non-zero chance someone died going to see this in theaters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What a way to go.
God damn it. And I got a great quote from Anthony D'Alessandro of Deadline. Stu, I believe you've made this point a couple episodes back, but this is like a perfect summary as to the connection between the current issues with getting people to go to the theaters, because they are now trained to expect a movie to come onto streaming like 2 weeks after a movie comes out in theaters. So Anthony wrote, "Why pay $15 a ticket per person when you can just shell out $15 for the month and have a whole living room full of people watch Wonder Woman 1984? So I am also giving my vitriol, my hissing. I'm throwing tomatoes at this movie for contributing to this current trend.
You know what? I'm going to say something that's going to get me yelled at. I'm not against the theatrical, the death of the theater. Maybe it's because I've worked at a theater and I know that they're basically just like torture chambers.
Yeah, you can say that as a theater worker.
They should die.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Theaters are dying because they suck.
Definitely.
If more people had the time and money to go to the theater, and so theaters were cheaper and they didn't suck, people would go. But they're expensive and they suck, and people don't generally have as much time and money as they used to, so they're gonna stay home. Like when I was a kid growing up, we weren't like poor, but we didn't have a lot of money, and my parents are with like 99% of movies. My parents were like, we're just gonna wait for it to come out on video, because theaters are expensive. You get shitty audiences, you get stuck in a bad seat, snacks are way overpriced, and especially it's like hard to bring kids to the theater the same way it's hard to bring kids anywhere, because they get bored, they get tired, they act up.
I've been working the opening weekend of Despicable Me 2. I'm ready to do a genocide.
Oh, yeah. No. Are the gentle minions back?
Oh, dude. Oh, my God. They show... Fuck, dude. Don't even get me started on the gentleman. If I see you wearing a suit at a Despicable Me show, I'm shooting...
That should be like straight to the firing squad shit. Why are you doing that? Don't do that. That's sad.
Like, genuinely, streaming sucks, but the answer isn't theaters good.
The answer is make theaters good. But that would, like everything else, require the whole political economy to
Yeah.
shift around. I think the future of theaters will be like, instead of being the main way everybody sees a movie when it comes out, it'll be the way you go to watch certain movies you're really excited about or have already seen in a special format
Exactly.
as a
like a
communal
concert.
experience.
Yeah, rep screenings.
Like a concert.
Basically.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
those
yeah,
are
or-
always
or
the
just
best
like-
kind of screenings. I love doing rep screen. When someone's like, "Oh, you're showing fucking Vertigo." I love Vertigo, dude. I got my dick sucked in 1967 in the Regal.
Needless and Spencer went to a rep screening this weekend.
Yeah.
It was great, except
Yeah.
there was a Lyft driver on the way there was driving like a crazy person.
It's always
That there were so many fucking Boston drivers, like every single Uber driver that we had, or Lyft driver, whatever, in Boston, they were like fucking like they were
Yeah.
on something. Like there was this one who yelled at us for getting in the car normally, and I still don't know why.
Like, I will open
He
the
was like,
car. It's like,
everything
all right.
that's bad about theaters is good in a rep screening. It's a smaller crowd. There's less kids because you're not taking a kid to go see fucking Vertigo at 3 years old because it doesn't have Skibidi Toilet in it. The tickets are usually cheaper because it's an older movie, unless you're doing like a little special, like 35 millimeter, Roadhouse kind of thing. The crowd is usually nicer.
I don't know. There's this one theater in town where me and Spencer are. We go to all the time, and it's usually like it's all rep screenings really, and it's usually the worst fucking like. Spencer always has to shush people, like trying to watch Indiana Jones.
That specific instance does sound bad. I love when we do rep screenings. I love working. If I could work more rep screenings, I could, because it's always like nice old people or like chill young people that like movies, so they're fun to talk to. You make you make a fraction of what you make at even like a slow Despicable Me 4 showing, but it makes you want to kill yourself significantly less.
But I think the problem with all of this stuff is our political economy is not conducive to making good art.
No.
Or many other worthwhile things.
Except they did get the Batman 2022 made. So that was
but it's
good.
Capitalism
it's
really
happening in spite of it.
Yeah, capitalism really knocked it out of the park with that. I got to give it up to Globo Homo on that one.
Okay, the one problem with it is that it uses its fuck pass because it's PG-13. I don't know why it uses pass for nothing.
Yeah, they get one fuck pass per PG in a PG-13.
Man, the MPAA is so stupid. Movie ratings are so dumb. Like counting the number of fucks to determine whether or not a 15-year-old or a 17-year-old can see it. It's so dumb. The whole thing is just really, really on its face stupid.
By the way, if you can't tell, I know we kind of stopped giving reviews for movies, but if you can't tell, we all hated this piece of shit and it sucks.
Well, yeah.
None of us want to talk about
obvious.
it.
Yeah. I'm thankful for capitalism on this one thing where it was up against the Paul W.S. Anderson Monster Hunter, where it's pretty much just a Resident Evil sequel.
You
want to
know what it was also up against? What it also played against? Maybe the only other female directed movie that can match this one's Freak in terms of like horribleness and wretchedness.
The Triumph of the Will? Did that get a rep screening?
Close.
Triumph of the Will.
They're like, we're 6 months into COVID, dude. We all gotta kill ourselves.
You are so close. Do you want to know what it was?
I don't know, dude.
Do you want to know what movie it was?
The thing
Stu, do you want to guess what movie it was?
Just say it. You're frustrating me. Just say it.
It was Promising Young Woman.
Oh, it was. I was going to be my guest, dude. God damn it.
Promising Young Woman is a better movie than this. I'll say it outright. Promising Young Woman better.
They're equally wretched. They're equally wretched.
Dude, Wonder Woman 1984 is getting the rare 0 stars rate for me. Last given out for the previous DCEU.
Holy shit. For Shazam.
DC is so beautiful to me because like the Marvel movies are bad. Everyone knows this. We have a podcast called Marvelous to the Death of Cinema. I love DC being like, we can make them so much fucking worse, dude. Like the Marvel movies. Look, I do kind of get
they
why
have a
people are
baseline
like,
mediocrity.
I do kind of get why people
the DC
are
is like everywhere.
Yeah,
like the worst shit you'll ever see, and then like you'll get like, in your case, you'll get like a Zack Snyder Justice League.
We all liked Zack Snyder's Justice League. We all liked Aquaman.
Aquaman was fun.
Kinda.
It was bad, but it was fun.
Do you know who's promising young women?
Who?
Mossad is promising young women to influential American politicians and business people.
That's true. That's true.
Let's go.
They're bringing them into
And
the
capturing it on
office.
tape.
Oh yeah, they're going into countries. They're doing mini gladios everywhere. We love it, folks.
So here's something I want to talk about. We touched on earlier, specifically with its perspective on men, but I want to briefly see if we can define what we mean by liberal or bourgeois feminism as opposed to other approaches to feminism.
I know.
I don't know if that's. I know we all understand.
I'm the only other cis man on the podcast. Can I explain?
But I for the sake of for anyone who's listening who might not that might not be an obvious distinction, I want to see if we can very quickly define those terms. And then, having done that, I would like to look at how this women looks at relationships between women and talks to women. Because I feel like there's a strain of self-professedly feminist media that kind of comes across as like a condescending lecture from more affluent women down to all the other women that they imagine need lecturing or inspiring by their great wisdom.
Well, you gave that's absolutely like part of the definition you just gave right there. Liberal feminism, as I've always encountered it, is really at its core and in its effects, only sort of beneficial to women who are already occupying high class, high cultural privileged positions. You know, it overlaps almost basically into a circle with white feminism, which is it describes itself as to what kind of feminism that is. It is inherently unintersectional, is inherently uninterested in the ways class is frequently the biggest agitator of women's position in society. It basically in its current iteration, it'll manifest in a lot of obnoxious think pieces and op-eds where like the biggest issue facing women today is, oh, I was trying to sit down on the train and there was a man spreading, or, oh, I got passed up for, I got condescended to at work because he told me to smile, sweetie, or I got passed up at my job for my like slovenly male coworker, which, you know, are issues, but they take them as like the be all end all of women's positions themselves.
You're making 4 million when a man is making 7 million.
I actually have it was kind of like one of those radicalizing moments for me that I think will illustrate this, my point really well. One of my earliest, I was doing a lot of temp work, after I graduated college because I had no fucking job and I was broke and the election just happened and everyone was just like fucking insane, myself included. Like everyone was fucking terrified, as to what would happen. And one of the earliest temp jobs I took was, helping staff a women's conference in Boston. And by women's conference, I mean, it was like a women's business leader conference. And I worked the like coat check. And every woman who came to check her coat there was just like the wealthiest looking white woman you can ever imagine. There was one woman in particular who dressed in like that head to, she looked fine. She looked beautiful. I'm not saying, you know, women can't be feminist and can't fucking look beautiful. All women are queens, but head to toe, like real fur coat. Coat check was like $5, not even. She gave me $100 to break. So this woman was just like, you know, and it was one of those. It was one of those moments because I was like not making any fucking money. I was living at home. My house was basically like disintegrating around me. Fucking like I couldn't afford my medication, so I was like deeply fucking depressed. And it was all agitated by the fact that I was like, I was experiencing poverty. We were like, our house was literally falling apart around us. It was like untenable. It was awful. And that's in that kind of, that the nature of condescension reeks off of liberal feminism. And it is a feminism that is concerned with the very surface level concerns for women's issues without wanting to address any of the systemic aspects of it that include class, that include the military-industrial complex, that include race, ethnicity, that include sexuality beyond here's my gay best friend. And that's the extent of sort of my involvement with like gay politics. That's it.
Yeah.
It's
and then you end up with a movie like this where the two lead female characters are serving men ultimately.
The only female characters in this movie.
The only female characters.
The only ones.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm going to stop you there, Liz. Nobody in this movie was serving.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Cheetah shows up looking like Kesha at the White House.
Yeah, I actually, I kind of ended up writing a little definition for it in my very long source material notes that really ties into what Nicole's saying. And it's basically, particularly fourth wave feminism, this feminism that arose in the recent 2010s among the sort of blogosphere, educated, mostly well-off, middle-class, democratic-leaning people, it's a feminism that's subservient to neoliberalism. It fundamentally capitulates that this form of government... I forgot to say
neoliberalism.
That this form of government and this form of society is equal, but we, as individuals and as sort of businesses and as families, need to make personal choices, usually around consumption, to better our own pre-held biases and internalized misogyny, whereas third and second wave feminism was diametrically opposed to the government, the ruling establishment, and had a list of specific demands that needed to happen, access to birth control, access to fairer laws in family court, access to equal pay, etc. It was using these as a stepping stone to build institutional power, and it is now, we have institutional power, but we just need a little bit more women in charge. We need a more equal society, and we need to just sort of nebulously listen to women without ever really quantifying what that means.
I think if we could really kind of put it into like one sentence, it's a feminism for individual women competing as individuals against men for positions in the shrinking middle class.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what? I have a great quote because Patty Jenkins actually got into a little bit of a spat with none other than Big Dick Jim Cameron, which is hilarious because Jim had the audacity to criticize Wonder Woman for, quote, all the self-congratulatory back-patting Hollywood's been doing over one woman has been so misguided. She's an objectified icon. It's just male Hollywood doing the same thing. And Patty took to Twitter to respond to Jim's inability to understand what Wonder Woman is. And I'm just gonna pull one quote from that like embarrassing like screenshot, clapback of hers, because like listen, Patty, you've given us Wonder Woman and fucking Eileen Wuornos, which is he's given us like a whole swath of amazing
Linda
Hamilton. Linda fucking Hamilton pumping a shotgun with her arm. You will never, Patty Jenkins, go to jail. Go to jail. Never touch a camera again. But she said, and I think this encapsulates the mindset of this movie and her brand of, and the brand of feminism on display here. She said, there is no right and wrong kind of powerful woman. Yes, Patty, there is. There is. The inability to recognize like power and as like a force that women can and do often abuse when they are in positions of power. To liberal feminists, women having power just as it is a great thing. That's why they rallied behind fucking Hillary Clinton, regardless of her many crimes. That's why. Because, a woman has power. That's a good thing. That means breaking the glass fucking ceiling, no matter how many like fucking atrocities she's overseen.
Yeah.
90% of women will never even get within 10,000 feet of the glass ceiling.
Yeah.
They're on the dirt ground, and they're most women, and they have different concerns.
Yeah.
To sort of cap off the political segment, because I think we're
Yeah, you gotta cook on. I want to hear about the
there's
source
that
material.
later, I do want. I do have a quote. There's some stuff we should cover before then, but I do have a quote on whether or not Trump was the inspiration for
so
for this
Pedro
film.
Pascal.
So in an interview with Screen Rant, Jenkins said, in regards to being asked if Pedro Pascal was playing Donald Trump, he's one of them. I mean, honestly, the funny thing is he is an influence, but I'm not trying to make. We have a president in this movie, and I've gone out of my way to not make it look like Ronald Reagan. I don't want to get political. It's not about being political.
What the?
Actually, a huge influence in this movie was Madoff. These young Madoff stories fascinate me because I'm like, how do you end up being Bernie Madoff? And when you really start tracking that story, it's like it started out in a way that made sense. And then he was paying it off, and then he was doing this and paying it off again. And then you just become an evil dude when you don't realize that it's happening. So that's sort of the beginning.
Oh my God.
Really, it's
perfectly
fascinating.
misunderstanding.
What a dumbass.
It's fascinating because this sort of like, I'm trying to say something fundamentally political, but I'm not being political, is kind of the same thing that like
That's
the
liberal
fandom
feminism.
guys end up saying. Like it's really fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
They're always like, you can have, like something like Star Wars, for example. They had the Senate and they had an evil president, but it wasn't a political film.
I don't want to talk more about Star Wars. I don't want to talk more about Star Wars.
But yeah, it's just so funny because when I was reading this, I was like, you could change some of the words and this would be like a fucking Star Wars theory quote.
It's a very common thing for people to just lie and say they're not being political because they don't want to get in trouble. They just want it to be
there's that, but also I do
semi
think
subtext in the movie, but they don't want to be owned on it explicitly.
I do think that I do think that's real. Also, I do think Patty Jenkins is genuinely a moron, and she's like, no, I don't.
Also, yes.
I don't want you to think about Reagan because that wasn't the focus in the movie. We just needed a president, and we hired some actor off the street.
Okay, so there's three things I want to address before we go to the source material.
Are we going to the source material next? I thought we were doing something else. Oh fuck! All right, before we do,
three things I still want to address.
Thank God.
We are like over an hour in, so we should probably get.
I know, but just there's three things I want to address.
Yeah, go off, Queen.
One, I want to talk about the Barbara Diana, the Kristen Wiig Gal Gadot plot, and the weird women talking about their relationship with other women gender stuff that I found kind of hard to parse. Two, I want to talk about the weird muddled metaphor of truth versus lies and how wishes are lies for some reason. And the movie's fixation on the idea of like power or status, or whatever, being good when you earn them, but bad if you're given them, even though Diana was sculpted out of clay by the gods, which seems kind of like being given. And then three, I want to ask the question, why is this movie set in the 80s? Because it doesn't seem to really use the setting very much.
No, it does not.
I don't even think she was shaped out of clay in this version.
No, wasn't she? Didn't they say that in the first movie? She was. It's like a reveal at the end, but she was made by Ares.
Or something. I don't know.
Out of clay.
Asteria, who was the armor was made by. Okay, but whatever.
Beside the point. So of those three things, let's start with coming from the last bit. What's going on with the Barbara character? Because she's like introduced as like this huge loser. She's frizzy and awkward, can't walk in heels. Well, and then one of the first things she says to Diana is like, "Oh, you're a scientist too? I didn't know scientists don't usually wear heels." And then Anna goes, some scientists do. And it's clearly this like, again, 2010s feminist. Yeah. You can be a scientist and also wear heels and be hot.
Yeah. No, that's what it is. And it's also clearly like,
why were they letting black women in the mall in 1984? That wasn't happening.
That was happening.
And obviously, guys, we're not even like the whole like Steve Trevor like ghost rape thing isn't even like the top like 5 biggest like issues to be had with this movie. It's more like a CinemaSins-esque like nitpick that you kind of like a lot of 80s movies, because it was doing a sort of or attempting to be like an homage to like 80s body swap comedies. And Barbara's character especially it feels especially like a throwback. Like I think, was it Liz? I think you said a new leaf. It like
like a new leaf.
Or just like that. But I'm thinking, you know, like the whole like and it's not even like an 80s trope necessarily. It's like it was there in like She's All That, of like, you know, the woman who's like dumpy and nerdy at first, but you know, you take her glasses off and she's actually a baddie.
Oh man, Nicole, when I tell you what they based Barbara's redesign on in the comics on, you're gonna nut.
Okay. But I mean, the whole relationship between them, at least on Barbara's part, comes down to fucking female jealousy. And for a movie that is stopping to take, like, at every fucking opportunity to pat itself on the back as this, like, feminist revelation and this, you know, bullshit. And Miguel, I hope you drop the sound cue right there. The fact that this literally ends with a literal cat fight between them is so antithetical to what it is trying to say. And listen, I love movies about fucking messy bitches who hate each other. I'm going to go on another podcast real soon to talk about Death Becomes Her, which is that movie.
Nicole, you're gonna nut when I tell you what the
but,
you're gonna be so mad. I'm not even kidding. I'm like, I'm biting my tongue.
It's just fucking hilarious to me that this movie literally it technically passes the Bechdel test by virtue of having a terrible scene that me and Liz both screamed laughing at because Gal Gadot has the worst line delivery of anyone on earth. They're just talking in this fucking like bougie cafe, and she's like, "You're so funny," and that's it. That's it.
Yeah,
every interaction in this movie feels like it was written by an alien that spent a year studying how human screenplays. It's like
Tommy Wiseau has a better understanding of how women interact with each other.
That's very funny.
Yeah, because like the two, they're both like Barbara Minerva and Diana Prince. Their relationship feels completely transactional. Like the only like guiding like force of Barbara's like character is that like, oh, I got to become like Diana, and then Diana's like, you're around, I suppose, like they're friends, but it's like that exact scene is kind of the epitome where we don't actually really see that much of a friendship between them. And I guess that the payoff, like towards the end, is that like when they have their big fight, there's no concern over Barbara being electrocuted. I guess she's fine, but we know nothing about her afterwards.
Yeah, what happened?
She's gone.
She's gone. They have coffee together once, and then the movie just assumes that there's like an important friendship here.
There was a bit that I deleted from the notes because I thought it would take too long, but I described the writing of the characters in this film as a Bethesda RPG.
Yeah.
Where it's like
purely like fetching.
Yeah, it's fetching things. It's passing skill checks that are set incredibly low because they need like the morons that just beelined all the main story content to be able to see all the main story content. And the main character is special because she's the main character, and that's really just it.
Well, that's okay. So that's the thing thematically that I was kind of trying to figure out with the Barbara plot, and I'm not sure if I really understood it or not, is that it's like she's a huge dork, she wishes to be strong and hot, and that makes her bad because kind of like, you know, if you're being true to yourself or whatever, like deep down she's a dork and she's supposed to stay a dork and not like get hot and cool and confident.
Yeah, and then her main motivation is trying to like be like, you can't take away Max Lord because he made me.
Yeah, because I fucked him.
Because I fucked him. Like, even though there's like a weird, like people online pointed out that there's a weird lesbian thing between.
Oh yeah,
but it's like nothing.
There's people that there's a pretty decent amount of people that ship.
But like, what is it trying to say about relationships between women and types of women? Because it feels like an attack on like a type of woman or a perceived type of woman. But I was wondering if, like, Nicole, if you could clarify that, because I felt like
I think you're giving too much credit to say this is even like a conscious commentary as opposed to just bad writing.
Oh yeah.
Really? 'Cause I felt like it was like like an attack on. I don't know if "pick me" is the right term, but like it felt. It just felt
in
to
the
me
sense
like
of like she's like
Patty Jenkins is like
Diana,
mad
you can't
at
fucking Diana, you
friend
can't
she had to fall out with or
you
something.
can't touch Max Lord because he granted my wish and also I'm in love with him. Like that's it. That's it. It is to that extent like, villainizing her, but that's also like the most cliche fucking trope in the book.
Sure, yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you didn't see it as like I don't know. I guess maybe I'm crazy, but I just saw it as like
I was mad about
other
the
things.
myriad of other things.
I guess I saw it as like this kind of like grievance with like if you're the hot, cool, successful woman, and like your grievance with other women that you at least perceive as resenting you and being beneath you and competing with you or trying to take your
you're probably
spotlight by
right.
getting a glow up
probably
or
right.
something. Like
probably
the
right.
woman who has
But-
the awkward, dorky, less confident friend who then resents that friend for stepping out of that role.
Yeah.
Because that role no longer serves to flatter you.
Perhaps.
Again, I could be reading way too much into it, but I saw something like that there, but I'm
that much credit.
yeah, I'm not a woman, so I could just be hallucinating all of it, but I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's fair, but that as far as like just Barbara's whole like, and they're both like kind of like I said before, they're kind of serving like a man ultimately, like Diana's sort of like needing the image of a man to be with her, and her main focus, like afterwards, her main goal is trying to like come to terms, even though the previous movies seem to already come to terms with Steve Trevor sacrificing himself, but at the same time being totally affected by one man. And so is Barbara, just one guy.
So reductive. It's so reductive.
Yeah.
I'm gonna the source material segment is gonna come like a nuclear bomb, dude. You're gonna be like, oh, actually,
You keep saying
they were
this.
cooking.
Okay.
I know what you're doing. I know.
I'm getting the people hyped,
Let's do those other two.
Yeah, so,
2 points. And then we'll jump into
what is going on? Because on that same note of being like kind of very ideologically neoliberal and bourgeois, like the opening is all about, and God, like that. Like,
their outfits
Olympic
are so
thing goes
bad.
on
They're
forever and
clearly
really lame.
spandex in the opening.
Yeah.
That was so lame.
We were laughing.
The whole thing is just like, oh, she cheated by taking a shortcut after falling off her horse, which just seemed like skill and ingenuity to me, but and did not
It's because
earn
she
winning
didn't
the
shoot one of
race.
the wheels, and she didn't complete the task.
But she didn't
Fucking
earn winning the
gay
race,
ass.
and then that's compared to, so like cheating is compared to lying, which is compared to having these
Wishing
wishes
for something
granted.
and getting it is a shortcut. Barbara
and-
took the shortcut to become powerful and hot, as opposed to putting in
You need to
hundreds
earn
of
it.
thousands of cosmetics surgery. That's another. There we go. There's another interesting reading you can delineate it also like, and I also, as I said, I chalk that sort of like up to like the ethos of like, individual hard work and like wishing as a sort of like wishing for something better is something collectives do in order to work towards building a better world. No, they don't do their hard work. They don't pull up their bootstraps.
Yeah.
They don't.
It's always
the same
like,
fucking bullshit.
I earned whatever I have, but other people are cheating when they get things.
Oh yeah.
But again, like Diana in this movie was
it doesn't make sense.
made by the gods. She was
It doesn't
born
make
that
sense.
way. I don't think she exactly earned all those powers, strictly speaking.
Yeah.
But there's also, it is like at the end of the movie, she
did in the comics.
Yeah, she
has actually. Hold on, I'm gonna plug something real quick.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Okay, no. I'm gonna plug a children's cartoon from before I was born.
Okay.
Watch the Super Friends episode, Secret Origins of the Super Friends. It's so good, and it like manages to hit like a three-peat of like why these characters are important and resonant. particularly Wonder Woman.
The Super Friends cartoon. All right.
Had to interrupt.
Oh, there's some good episodes in there, especially later. In the later episodes,
when it hits
there's some
challenge
good
the
shit.
Super Friends, it's peak. We're not doing Super Friends slander on this podcast.
Okay.
Okay.
That's like if I asked my dad about the Super Friends, who was a kid when it was on TV and watched it, he would just roll his eyes.
It made BTAS straight up.
but-
It just made
Yeah.
But
last-
talking about the movie,
last point,
that's the
last
topic
point.
of the show. She does say to Pedro Pascal at the end of the movie, like, the world is beautiful the way it is. Now, there's no noble intent to change the world for the better anywhere in this movie.
No.
But it is that same mentality that, like, the world is as good as it can be. It can't.
Yes.
The world can't be changed for the better. Trying to change the world is always motivated under the hood by something selfish and will always make it worse. All you can do is turn inward and do the hard work of changing and perfecting yourself.
Yes, you got it. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. It's like it's exactly like the same handout.
Pure neoliberal feminism.
Yeah, the same which is kind of interesting how this movie being set in 1984, it is a very it's giving a lot of handouts to Reaganism in general because it boils down to a fucking Coke commercial. I like to share a Coke with the world bullshit.
Yeah,
at
totally.
The very end.
Yeah,
by
girl Reaganism. That's what this movie
Yeah.
is.
Almost by its decision to be set in the 80s and be about how actually current we need to trust our institutions and pick the right people for them or whatever. It's very accidentally favorable to Ronald Reagan because it's like, no, the president of the 1980s was a guy who definitely earned his way into being the president and was the most trustworthy man for the job. And it wasn't like
not Reagan
guy
in this movie is depicted as like an evangelical warmonger.
Yeah, but it's sort of like
but the movie doesn't comment on the movie's like, no, he should still be the president. It's better than Maxwell Lord.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he should still be the president even after that.
He's like, oh, I'm ready to nuke these goddamn Ruskies, who also in the movie are like explicitly the ones that are firing first. Like the movie goes out of the way to be like,
they do have a throwaway line where like
are gonna fire first.
We would shoot first if they did what we were doing. So I just not that I want to give this movie credit, but it isn't quite that bad for that. Like at least in a hand wavy way.
It's not the most jingoistic, but it's certainly it's honestly more conservative than any of the Snyder films.
Oh,
yes,
I'd say
absolutely.
so.
Absolutely.
I want to ask then the question. Why is this set in the 80s? Because it doesn't really seem to use the setting very
Stranger
much.
Things was big at the time.
Because of Stranger Things is
Stranger Things.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's it.
It was a trend.
Moving on.
They literally they got a mall that explicitly looks similar to the Stranger Things mall from season 2. Stranger Things season 2 was hype at the time. It was hype at the time. Ghostbusters was hype at the time. Fucking yeah, it was because of Stranger Things and because 80s equals pretty colors equals good superhero movie. You know, the more colors you put in your superhero movie, the better it is.
Speaking of monkey's paw wishes, the monkey's paw is overtly referenced in this.
Yes, which I embarrassingly in the chat was like, "Is that from Simpsons?" And apparently, it's not.
The monkey's paw, a story from 1902, was made up for The Simpsons.
Dude, I don't fucking. That would be some shit they came up with.
No, it's just there's been a million. Like when I was a kid, I swear I saw like 1,000 different takes on the monkey's paw on TV.
I never did. But then, like looking at the Wikipedia page, I was like, oh, I have seen some stuff that's riffing on this, and I never realized it.
Yeah. So I think when we complained about early on about these movies lacking color, that somewhere a finger on a monkey's paw curl,
absolutely,
because now they have color, but it's just taking flat digital footage and just cranking the saturation bar up.
This movie is so
it's like very half-assed and garish and not like there's no like color theory at work here.
Same cinematographer as the first one, and I looked up the other credits on that guy's filmography, and let's just say this is probably maybe his best work.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
saying
pretty
a lot.
bad.
Actually,
we saw it like as we were
when I was
watching
doing
it. It was
research for the source material segment, I found out that the colorist on the Wonder Woman comics was none other than Tatiana Wood, wife of one Wally Wood, who wrote and drew some of the early Daredevil issues. Did a lot of early Mad Magazine stuff. Did a really great erotic comic called Canon. Did a bunch of the like EC comic stuff. He was boys with Frazetta. Famously, he has this like heartbreaking quote where he got interviewed by some like fanzine and was like, "What's it like being a comic book legend?" He's like, "Well, if I did it all over again, I would ask God to cut my hands off so I wouldn't be able to draw."
Jesus, that's fucking
Yeah.
depressing.
Yeah.
Because he was like broke as shit, like two times divorced. Died.
I
in a
really want to get to
pauper's
the.
grave.
I really want to get to the source material bit.
Yeah,
so if there's
let's-
anything else.
Let's talk about this. We're here. We're here.
So there's sort of a reputation among comic book, the people that make the decisions in the comic book world, that Wonder Woman is hard to write. Comic book author Mark Waid has described her as hard to crack and says that he is the character that he avoided writing for the longest time. There's sort of an unspoken asterisk on the DC Trinity that, yes, Wonder Woman is the most important character, but she's the most important girl character. You know, she's not really on the same level marketability wise, sales wise as Superman or Batman. And as a result, you get a lot of, different takes on Wonder Woman. You can just riff. You could do a Batman comic for like 100 years, just ripping off of old Batman stories, and it would sell because it has enough of a built-in audience and it's doing enough of the box ticking that it would never leave the number one position on the charts. That's kind of what every Batman comic in the last like fucking 6 or 7 years has been, is just rehash. Same with Superman, fucking Gunn is just doing like, what if we did a more Reevesian take on Superman? It's the repeat.
I just realized something.
Go.
Never mind. We'll save it after.
Okay. Complicating this is DC's dogged insistence to turn the character into Girl Conan, essentially cutting her off from the modern world, throwing her in fantasy situations, and letting her kill cool monsters. Now, that stuff is fun, but it's not really what the character is about. She was sort of envisioned as an ambassador from a utopian society. She was teaching us. She was letting us learn from inspiration rather than doing Dark Souls shit. And
like Shin Ultraman.
Exactly. Very similar to Ultraman. Yeah. So in the 1980s, there were two equally important social reforms that changed the landscape of American society. Now, the first was second wave feminism, which was sort of beginning to wind itself down. It sort of peaked in the 70s, began in the 60s, late 50s, and was really hallmarked.
It was basically dead in the 80s, though, due to the porn wars.
Yeah, exactly. And it had accomplished some serious victories. Access to birth control was now almost universal in the States. Divorce law was almost completely rewritten to be more favorable to equal parties. Domestic violence laws were something that like finally existed instead of just like being like, the norm. And the other really important social change that was happening in American society was DC's
divorce.
It was no. It was DC's Crisis on Infinite Earths, where the previously infinite multiverse was reconstructed into a single timeline following the battle with the Anti-Monitor, which left hundreds of thousands of characters dead. But one of the more important casualties was Wonder Woman, who was not only killed,
Marston Wonder Woman,
explicitly
by
the Golden Age Wonder Woman, yes, who had now aged into sort of being an older woman, and she was killed off. Don't remember what scene. Don't have my copy in front of me, but she's sort of turned back into the clay, and they used that to be like, hey, maybe we could have a world where Wonder Woman is the new kid on the block, so to speak. So Superman and Batman had already gotten their reboots courtesy of Frank Miller and John Byrne. But by 1987, they were still kind of figuring out what to do with Wonder Woman. And the first guy they got was a guy named Greg Potter, who had previously tried to rework Martian Manhunter into a more modern sort of 80s take on the character, and that wound up as the character Jem, son of Saturn. And Potter had come with them, and he's like, I want to do a high fantasy take on Wonder Woman. You know, Conan was big, Dungeons and Dragons was blowing up, fantasy was big right now, so they were like, we're going to really lean into these fantasy elements. You know, we have this character who's part of Greek myth. And DC was like, sure, okay, come up with like a pitch document, write the first couple issue scripts. Oh, by the way, who do you want on art? And I think he was feeling himself a little bit because he did probably the boldest pick of all time, which is like, give me your best artist. And, you know, Wonder Woman, not like an A-list character sales-wise. She's always been consistently around, but she's not a bestseller. This was about to change, though, because they got George motherfucking Perez.
Perez, new Teen Titans.
Hot off co-creating the new Teen Titans with Marv Wolfman. Would go on to do Avengers with Kurt Busiek. Would go on to do fucking... we wrote him to shit because he did Infinity Gauntlet, which was inspired Infinity War and Endgame. And surprisingly, even though... he was apparently completely done with monthly comics and only wanted to do graphic novels and minis. He said yes. In fact, there's a quote from him, courtesy of comics historian Les Daniels, where Perez said, "An uncontrollable force rushed from my gut and came up through my mouth. After promising I'd never take on another monthly series, the words just came out of my mouth." And Perez was initially only contracted for a 6-month assignment, but when he got the scripts, he was like, this shit sucks, man. Like, this shit this shit is ass.
Oh yeah.
And he asked if he could take on co-writing duties, and Greg Potter very graciously stepped down. They did end up using some of his material for the first 2 issues, but they got co-writer Len Wein to come in. Len Wein, of course, created Swamp Thing.
That is the guy who gets
Swamp
around.
Thing.
Yeah, he gets the fuck around. He was working at both companies at the time. And so Perez was interested in the high fantasy element, but his editors, Janice Rule and Karen Berger, encouraged him to do some research on modern day feminism to lend the book some realism, because they were very adamant that this had to be set in the modern day and feature the character interacting with the modern world, because that was what had been well received in the Superman reboots and the Batman reboots. So Perez was like, all right. Now, this is a guy who was not a feminist. Like, he was probably the closest thing that he was to a feminist was that he drew pinup art on the side. But he ended up, reading through a stack of feminist literature. He even got in contact with second wave feminist activist and CIA asset Gloria Steinem, who gave him some pointers. And
I think he kind of turned it back around by having Mindy Newell on the staff too, who was pretty instrumental in a lot of like female DC characters. Like, did a really fucking amazing Lois Lane run
with Gray Morrow.
Gray Morrow on the Lois Lane.
Yeah, and he says by the end of this, he was arguing over the nuances of feminist literature with his wife over dinner, so he was locked the fuck in. But despite, being very based in second wave feminist activist literature, the run sort of feels like it's predating third wave feminism, which was much more intersectional and focused on naming and deconstructing the elements of patriarchy that have existed through all of time. There was some of that in second wave feminism, but it really came into its own in third wave. And what this has a lot of overlap with is a thing we did another episode on, Belladonna of Sadness, which takes the European peasant life and does a very angry feminist critique of what it was like to be a woman in that society. And similarly, Perez opens the first issue with a little vignette at the dawn of time, where a caveman has been maimed by a saber-tooth on a hunt. Now he's freaking the fuck out. He's coming back home. He's dripping blood from his stump, manages to cauterize it on the fire. And he's mumbling to himself, or in his head, he's like, remember what your tribe teaches. Fear is for women, so you hide your face while you're trembling. But deep down, he knows that because he's now disabled, he has lost his value to the tribe and is worth little more than a woman, basically. And the final straw comes when his pregnant wife, who was introduced in this little vignette as like cowering in the far side of the cave while he rants and raves, offers a sympathetic hand of support. And the narration reads, you try to ignore her, but her whimpering taunts you, teases you, emasculates you, makes you snap. And in a single blow, the caveman kills his pregnant wife. So it's a pretty hardcore fucking opening for a superhero comic. And normally you would think, okay, this is just a throwaway. But this scene actually becomes the through line of the entire first issue. So it flashes forward to sort of the height of the Greek Empire. And there's an argument between Ares and Athena. And Ares is like, dude, the Greek Empire, they've been killing so many people. They've been doing so much violence. Like, my power is only growing. And Athena's like, someone's got to keep this fool in check. So she posits that there should be sort of a counter race to the Greece. A race made up of women, a sort of a utopian society where they offered tribute to the gods out of respect and love for each other and peace rather than violence. And Zeus is like pissed. He's like, fuck this shit, I'm out. You guys figure this out among yourselves. And they sneak off to the hall, the underworld, and team up with Charon, ferryman of the River Styx, to go to the oldest part of the underworld, where there's a cavern of souls that contains all of the women that have died violently before the reign of the gods. So they've completely missed out on going to the underworld, and they're basically just in limbo, in permanent stasis. And so they take these souls, including the caveman woman, and they rebirth them into the world, and these become the Amazons.
Oh,
yeah,
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and actually, the caveman woman becomes Hippolyta, the mother of Wonder Woman. And that pregnant unborn daughter that was inside of her is the soul that eventually ends up inhabiting the clay statue.
Okay. All right.
And so from there, Perez would go on to sort of redefine the character of Wonder Woman. She gets reintroduced. She finds a new family, joins up with this like antique professor that's also a single mom. It's very cute stuff. But the highlight of the book for me comes at issue 7 when they reintroduce the cheetah. And in fact, this was where Barbara Minerva debuted, because previously the cheetah was a character named Priscilla Rich, who was very similar to this, just like a woman that was jealous of Wonder Woman and wanted to kill her. But in this, dude, she's so cool. Mm-hmm. So she is a celebrity archaeologist who Wonder Woman calls in to sort of study her ancient artifacts that she's brought with her to society, or to man's world, as she calls it. And she ends up trying to steal the lasso from her own personal gain. And this genuinely hurts Diana, because before this, she's never encountered a woman that's been deceitful or underhanded or sort of violent to her. She's only encountered that in men. So this genuinely hurts her. It's like a betrayal of her core values, of this idea that, you know, a woman's love is what society needs to transform. And it's later revealed in the issue that she's been doing a little bit of looting. She's not very, very woke. And one of the artifacts that she's stolen is the God plant, which is
the
God plant. Yes, which is a giant African shrub that grants its like water or immortality in exchange for regular blood sacrifice.
Yeah, it seems fine.
And part of that immortality comes at becoming the cheetah. And in fact, I actually linked the transformation page in
I
the
love
I
show
saw, it on
notes.
I saw it on your Twitter. Yeah,
It's so
cool.
sick, and it was very obviously inspired by both the Paul Schrader version and the original 1942
Let's
version
fucking go.
of Cat People, because
Yes.
Barbara Minerva
Claws
is,
extend, teeth sharpen.
Yes.
The Beauty and the Beast become once more as one, and the cheetah is free to prowl again.
She spends the whole issue just stalking people through the streets of New York City. It's guttural. Perez has always been great at doing this kind of like I call it like a Larry Cohen vibe, but this idea of New York as like a hell on earth, just this like seedy shithole that also contains like, you know, this very cooked up beauty to it. But like once you get to the ground floor, it's like, oh dude, the trash is piling up, and yeah. He's great.
Yeah, the colors in these issues also, by the way,
dude.
they are fucking amazing. Like, you know, the visual style to the 1982 Cat People, like, I feel does lend a little bit, but also it's probably the best. Like, if you like this, like, any of the Frank Miller,
Daredevil?
I don't know.
Yeah.
If you want like the Frank Miller Daredevil, there's like a lot of scenery like that.
Yes.
It's kind of fucking amazing.
It's
really
gorgeous. It's so good. And Perez was thinking, dude, in like every single dimension. So he actually avoids the traditional romance element of the comics, and in this
Steve
version,
Trevor's more like a kind of a somewhat mentor.
Steve Trevor
Big Brother
is
sort of
like
thing.
a Big Brother father figure who is considerably older than Diana and already in a relationship when he meets her, or no, gets into a relationship a few issues in with Etta Candy. So he's a little bit of a chubby chaser. Shout out comic Steve Trevor, dude, that's the go. But in there's actually I'm not the only person who's sort of talked about Wonder Woman by Perez being a third wave feminist text. There's actually a symposium for the State of New York University by a woman named Carolyn Coca. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, where she describes Perez as saying that he had great freedom because no one else wanted the title. So he drew Diana as more ethnic to show that she's not American, drew the Amazons as racially diverse, and introduced the character Philippus, who was black, as Diana's mother's trusted companion. He also implied that some Amazons were romantic and or sexual relationships with each other. All of these elements exhibited third wave sensibilities and appear to have been read as such. Most of the letters from readers after the reboot specifically praised the new Diana as a strong feminine and feminist woman. Sales were high, and fan letters were enthusiastic about the title's politics. In fact, negative letters argued for more diversity across and tolerance from these characters. Which is insane when you read, you know, Wonder Woman being cracked today, or hard to crack today. And one of my favorite stories comes later in the book, which just perfectly exemplifies the issue with making Wonder Woman an empty symbol, because if you don't fuck it up, it's incredibly resonant and powerful. Like, if you fuck it up, you get these movies where it's like no one's inspired by Gal Gadot. No one's like, dude, I left my abusive husband because I saw this movie. You know,
I'm sure Make-A-Wish Foundation child probably is. They're like, oh,
imagine how much
that's the bar.
Imagine how much that'd suck to make to you're like dying and your Make-A-Wish is to meet Wonder Woman, and Gal Gadot comes in just vacant-eyed and plastic as a mannequin, and just like, oh, so you have cancer? You are dying? That must be sad to be dying.
She walks in the door and then freaks out because she's in a hospital that isn't rubble.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, fucking. There's a story, Who Killed Mindy Mayer? And Mindy Mayer was her sleazy publicist. She's sort of her Stan Lee. She shows up very early on and is like, you know, you can't navigate man's world without someone to take care of all the royalties, you know? But she rocks. I love her. So she's found dead in the 18th issue, the 19th issue. And then in issue 20, there's a whole sort of vignette where it goes through her life as a a Jewish woman with an abusive father and sort of a shitty boyfriend that was dealing coke on the side. And you think like, oh god, this person that we knew as a sleazeball is a total sleazeball. But then at the end, there's this great reveal that she'd been trying to quit coke, and in fact, after she'd found out her boyfriend was stealing her contact list to sell to her, she ends up trying to quit cocaine, and then that's what does her in. Is she gets a bad bag, and she's like literally going. She's like, okay, one last line, and that last line is what ends up killing her. But and then they do a follow-up story in the annual where we meet her family, and we find out that like because of Diana, she was inspired to not only like turn this woman into an icon, but also she was inspired to open a harassment lawsuit against the workplace that was discriminating against her gay older brother.
All right, this sounds really interesting, but I just feel like we're kind of getting into just like a blow by blow of the entire George Perez run on Wonder Woman.
Yeah, this is
Can we speed run through the rest of this?
Yeah, I got
you. Can we just what are like the main points of comparison with the movie?
So the main points of comparison with the film are both are doing Cheetah origin stories in this one. Both are sort of examining Diana's relations in the 1980s. It's very clear that they chose the 1980s in part because they had comics to fall back on as a shield, not to use any of these to make the movie better, but so that if someone says, why are you doing something in the 80s? They say, hey, we have this. And I really want to sort of hammer home like how poor a portrayal Gal Gadot is doing of what she's not Wonder Woman in this movie. She's really not. And when I was writing this, I was constantly thinking of that Hark a Vagrant comic.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a good comic, but it's misapplied. It's very obviously the comic book version of Wonder Woman. It's like, oh, you're so iconic, you're so powerful, but what do you really like about me? And that is this movie. Like Wonder Woman in the comics is equal parts a symbol and a person behind it, and those don't always jive. There's always two different. They're pulling in two separate directions. Diana the person is not Diana the symbol, and the film is like, no, she is Diana the symbol, and she's constantly aware of that because she has to single out the little girls in the audience and be like, you matter. I just didn't kill this black woman, this black child in this mall or whatever.
Well,
Aren't I a hero?
I winked at her.
Yeah.
This whole movie feels like Patty Jenkins or whoever went in with like that classic like mission statement, like I'm here to inspire women and girls trademark.
Yeah.
Which again just feels so condescending and
I want women to be in STEM.
And the comic did that without ever really being too aware of it. There's a little bit of a callback to the Mrs. Magazine thing, that the cover that sort of relaunched Wonder Woman into the public sphere in the late 60s. But it's never actively trying to be like, this is what the character means. It lets you decide for yourself. It lets you show these characters evolve and change and sort of question their beliefs and act as people, basically. And it really, honestly, ironically, it ends up mirroring the evolution of the feminist movement in a way. Because like third wave feminism was arguably, one of the most revolutionary ones. It's one of the ones that we get like stuff like Riot Girl movements in the 90s. We get, underground comics movements. We get, actual like female centric manifestos and revolutionary groups and stuff.
Yeah.
And then fourth wave feminism comes along, and it's mostly about middle class women complaining about their own existences and just completely not caring about any kind of intersectionality or really anything. It's narcissism. And it's a symbol that means nothing like the character in this fucking movie. It's taking the name of, it's acting in the name of feminism with little of the beliefs. And
that's okay. That's interesting, I think, as a point to close it out on, because the movie opens with Pedro Pascal on the TV doing a kind of Tony Robbins The Secret shtick, where it's like, before he gets real wish powers, it's like, if you wish it and you will it, you can make it happen. Here's my seminar or whatever. It like self-help, just complete bullshit. But that's also what this version of Wonder Woman represents for women, which is just purely self-interested, aspirational, climb the ladder, be hot, get the corner office, have it all.
Yeah. I can't remember. It's been
acquisition and status.
It's been like a year
mentality.
since we did the first movie. Is there even any, she leaves like she doesn't go out to change man's world. She just goes out to like stop.
She goes out to stop Ares.
Yeah, to stop
specifically
Ares.
to stop Ares.
So it's again, it's shooting yourself in the foot because it's giving your character a reason of existence that is directly tied to completing the first film and nothing else. But it's also like, yeah, that sucks. Like it honestly, it feels like in these movies she's having to earn the reason of being an ambassador to man's world.
You can't be out to change the world because the world can't change. The world's beautiful the way it is. Yeah. Only you can change yourself.
There's that. It's just none of these characters, like the woman in the Hark of Vagrant comic, none of these people writing, Jeff Johns, Patty Jenkins, Adolf Hitler, Zaslav, whatever. All
in the same tier.
All in the same tier. None of these people understand what Wonder Woman means, and none of these people even really understand what Wonder Woman the symbol means. They might have some vague understanding that it became sort of a rallying cry of early second wave feminism, but like that's just a neat historical fact for them. It's not like, okay, we can take this character and make some of that very, very important meaning to real people part of the character, part of what the character means and part of what the character feels. And there's just nothing fucking there, dude.
Well, I think to close out, Nicole, this is something you and I have talked about privately. As patriarchy declines and fades away, and as women are increasingly, in as a matter of fact, speaking very generally, actualized agents in the political economy and the social structure, as we're going through this process of transition, feminism as constructed kind of starts to lose coherence because it's built around opposition to and deconstruction of a system that is in the process of deconstruction, that is vanishing. And what is it without that? Combine that with just other factors like the fact that most of our mass media is dictated by the middle, upper middle class and so on. And you get this kind of this form of feminism, part of that
honestly contributes, or is like ends up creating sort of the idea that you could be a drone operator and be a feminist. You could work for Goldman Sachs and be a feminist because it doesn't really mean anything anymore. It's completely meaningless. It's honestly the same thing. There's sort of a microcosm of this in Wonder Woman itself, where who's currently writing Wonder Woman right now?
Tom King.
King, yeah. Where now we have surpassed even the bad dog shit fucking bullshit self-masturbatory takes existing in film writers having to find meaning and doing and making complete slop and coming up completely empty, to hack comic book writers that planned the Iraq War now doing that. And you'll love this. We were sidebarring earlier with specifically about the invisible jet and how they have to they have to make that real.
Yeah, the invisible jet has to be an actually existing European fighter jet that Chris Pine, who hasn't touched an airplane since the Sopwith Camel, can inexplicably figure out in 30 seconds. And she turns it invisible with magic.
My father taught me this.
I don't want to say this, but this might genuinely kill Stu. I'm gonna put this in production stuff real quick. This is what the Invisible Jet looks like in Tom King's run. Yes, it is an F-22.
Oh,
Yeah, that is used to kill
Fuck
entire
you.
villages of Palestinian men, women, and children.
Also, it's an F-22 with giant miniguns mounted on the wings,
Well,
even though it has one
that
built
feels
into the
like,
nose cone.
That's because they have to kill the most. They need the most amount of.
Yeah,
slaves.
they gotta
It's
kill the
because
most
they think it looks
Palestinian
cool, but that's
child.
why.
Yeah.
It's also mounting shit on the wing hard points makes it no longer a stealth jet because now there's shit for the radar to bounce off of.
I'm glad that I almost completely forgot, but yes, no. To wrap up, this movie sucks. Nobody understands Wonder Woman but me and my
Horrible,
mom.
bad. Stay away from
And
it.
Grant,
All
and
right.
Grant Morrison. Actually,
let's talk about actual feminism here.
Yeah,
Like,
if you want to
something else,
complete
too.
before we get to watch
Or read
something else, not only read George Perez's Wonder Woman because that's available and in print, but read Grant Morrison's Wonder Woman, which is reimagining the William Marston version of the character, the original Golden Age version of the character, as if they came to this world in the modern day. So they're having to deal with stuff like Pua culture. They're having to deal with stuff like feminism being intertwined with the military-industrial complex, intersectionality, and how they react to those kind of things. Don't listen to people that say it's weird or it's too kinky or it's just them jacking off. It rocks. It's so good. The third volume's a little bit of a letdown, though.
You know what I think we've learned from this?
Yeah.
Only boomer guys who read comics can make feminist art.
No, literally. I actually, it's really funny because
No, it's because
they got a woman to write Wonder Woman.
women who could make good feminist art aren't well connected and high status and high class enough to get a position in most media industries in the modern political economy.
Well, like Alison Bechdel, of which a whole fucking like part of shitty film criticism was attributed to, and that does not work.
A comic.
Yeah.
And that kind of like what I want you to read is check out The Secret to Superhuman Strength by Alison Bechdel. It is an actual really good progression of just like childhood feminism and trying to like articulate your own body, gender dysphoria, and just trying to like actually work at how to function like your physical faculties as a woman, but also like trying to understand like how it relates to you emotionally. It's one of my favorite kind of graphic novels from 2021, and not many people talk about it compared to Bechdel's other stuff like Fun Home, even though people don't really talk about her as they should in general. But
sorry, what was this graphic novel called?
Secret to Superhuman Strength by Alison Bechdel.
Secrets to Superhuman Strength.
Also, I'm going to get crucified if I don't mention this. Trina Robbins, creator of women's comics on It Ain't Me Babe, did do a Wonder Woman series in the 90s, I want to say. Go check that out.
I really like the art to that.
Yeah.
Like, especially. I know I keep going back to art, but it's like that one has some fucking
it's
really
very
nice
fun.
Just yeah.
Oh, it's comic books. The art matters.
Yeah. It's also doing
one more,
a what's that Alan Moore story where Superman dies?
Oh, whatever happens to the
yeah. It's doing that for the Golden Age version of Wonder Woman, from what I gather. So it looks sick.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I've read it. But if you want to watch something, my recommendation, if you don't like the payoff to Pedro Pascal in this movie, check out Kamen Rider Black Sun. I won't spoil it for you, but there's a Shinzo Abe placeholder, and he has a pretty good payoff. I'm not going to say what happens.
Does he go out better or worse than the real Shinzo Abe?
Let's say
It's a spoiler.
That's
which is pretty.
It's
It's a spoiler
for real life.
It's a spoiler, but it's a spoilers for real.
for Japanese politics.
Okay.
Shinzo Abe
There's
dies.
something really good. I'll tell you this. It's better than what Shinzo Abe got. It's better.
Okay.
It's very deserving. But anyway, go ahead.
My watch something else is something I showed you, Liz, when you came and visited me, and I think you loved it.
I
You loved
absolutely loved it. I wanted to add it in mine if you weren't going to talk about it, but yeah, go ahead.
I'll talk about it really quickly. But it's a movie I saw this year. It's one of the best things I've seen all year. It's called She is Conan by Bertrand Mandico, a guy who describes himself as genderless when he dreams, and his movies are just incredibly just visually interesting in terms of the materials used, how they're filmed, how they're acted. They abide by this thing called the Incoherence Manifesto, and She is Conan is basically his interpretation of the Conan the Barbarian series, where Conan is envisioned as a woman who has to confront her own past lives as the Queen of Hell, and it shows her between the ages 15, 25, 35, so on, and each time she meets her new incarnation, she has to kill it, and it is very sapphic and just incredibly visually compelling.
I cried a few times too. It was pretty fucking good.
I will be fat ballsack co-signing She is Conan. I watched it last night while preparing for the show. I didn't like it as much as Nicole did, but I didn't like to death as much. Miguel bleep all that. I don't know where I was going. The edibles are kicking in. I'm fucking going.
Yeah.
Miguel bleep all that, please. She is Conan. Fat ballsack cosign.
I always struggle with these movies.
But do you want me to go first? Because I have one.
Yeah. See, I thought of a really good one for the next Patreon episode we do.
Is it all the cutscenes from the original Modern Warfare 2?
Yeah, just a compilation on YouTube.
But my watch something else, right?
Yeah.
Watch something else is Lady Oscar by
Let's go.
Jonathan Demme?
Demi.
Jacques Demy.
Demi.
Yeah.
AKA Agnes Varda's husband.
AKA Agnes Varda's husband. Absolutely goated adaptation of the Japanese light novel or manga?
It's manga.
Manga.
The Rose of Versailles, about a woman who is raised as a man in pre-revolution Paris. It's absolutely goated. I downloaded the anime as well. If one of you wants to check that out,
I'll probably get around to watching it.
Because that was a big influence on Utena, right?
It was a big influence on Utena.
Yes, it was.
It that and Angelique and a couple other things were big in kickstarting the whole period romance era of Japanese shoujo novels.
Yeah, Fat Pussy co-signed that.
Oh yeah, and also you should also read Onisama E. Anything by Ryoko Ikeda. I think you're gonna have a good time.
Don't watch this movie. It's not even really worth a hate watch.
Stay away from this movie.
Don't watch for the mainline movies we do. As a general rule, don't watch.
Sometimes
I'm gonna say last bit of venom and viciousness I will spit over this movie. If you find anything fucking redeeming about this piece of shit, I lose monumental respect for you as a person.
I don't think anyone liked it. Actually, someone linked apparently. Lights, Camera,
let me get
Jackson.
mad at the theoretical. Well, I will fucking fist fight Lights, Camera, Jackson if he has anything positive to say about this.
He didn't like the movie.
Okay, good. So he's spared.
Even
theoretical
movie
diversity
Bob
doesn't exist because I'm sure they do. They're the dumbest fucking people.
Movie Bob did not like this movie.
Wow. If you watch Movie Bob.
Dude, I told you.
Bob spared. He's back in Boston, baby.
I told
Movie
you.
Bob.
Yeah, no one in this movie. He said, "What the fuck happened to Wonder Woman 1984?"
The Mary Sue didn't even like this movie.
He wanted it so.
That's the only redeeming thing I can say about it. Nobody liked this.
Nobody liked this.
Nobody.
Did Lindsay Ellis, who was back on YouTube and hopefully keeping it.
I don't think that Lindsay Ellis had anything to say about.
Do we
this.
think Lindsay Ellis keeps it?
Jesus. None of my business. None of my business.
Why is this always the thing we end up talking about?
Okay, so I don't know why I have such a hard time with these lately. So, apropos of absolutely nothing, I'm just going to say, go watch Stuart Gordon's Dagon.
Sure.
A no budget Spanish. Actually, no, wait. Actually, right. I was going to say not Dagon. Oh, watch that dude. From Beyond. If there's a woman,
80s.
Well, the
80s
actress is
movie,
named Barbara, who gets a huge glow up, and a bunch of fucked up shit happens. It's great. I don't know if it's especially feminist, but it's fucking great.
That too. No, it's way more feminist than this.
It's more feminist than
anything.
This. Yeah, dude, a weird brain-eating tentacle thing pops right out of fuck, I know his name, the actor.
Jeffrey Combs?
Jeffrey Combs' head, yeah.
I didn't even see the movie. I rolled the dice on that one. I was like...
Yeah, From Beyond rocks.
I love Jeffrey Combs, dude. Whenever he shows up in Star Trek, I'm like, yeah, fuck. I act like I just drank pure red 40.
I like his fucking fake ass Bruce Campbell in Necronomicon with H.P. Lovecraft. Like, he was doing fake Bruce Campbell he even had a chin. It was very cool.
Oh, nice.
But
I've never seen
otherwise,
that.
I don't like it. You don't need to watch it. It's whatever. Koneko's,
it's probably better than this.
Segment.
It's probably better than this.
It is better. Absolutely.
You know what this movie finally made me do? I don't like the Wonder Woman stinger anymore. I really liked it. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
They made it worse. They made it worse. They Hans Zimmerfied it.
I was like, oh, this is awesome.
They got rid of the cool electric guitar. They made it bad. I turned to Liz and I'm like, they made it bad. They made the one good thing about this incarnation of Wonder Woman bad.
It's crazy
because what more can this movie fucking take from me?
It's the most hype intro riff of all time, and then Gal Gadot just shows up and she's like, I am on Ambien.
You're starting to sound like Joe Biden.
Oh man, I'm the first black Wonder Woman.
Imagine a conversation between the two of them. It would be a lot like when you get two Amazon Alexas talking to each other.
When looking for Gal Gadot IQ, I found that she originally thought she was too smart to be an actress, which is very funny. Because
I don't look at yourself.
I don't think she's too smart to do much of anything personally.
No. All right. Well, fuck this movie. Let's thank the people who give us money.
God bless you all.
God bless you. Miguel, you can put some Charlie XCX over this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for our favorite little brats that give us money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 a.m. and she's out there.
Thank you to Ninjas with Attitude, Max Power, Alice Amity, Jess McKinney, Setzer Stereo, Joe Moses, Jackson Tucker, Colin Horgan, William Coping, Doc Fathom, Eli, coming in at the $10 executive producer tier. Let's get the horns blaring. Porridge Fist, thank you very much. And coming in, was it yesterday at the $3 tier, Stingray. Thank you very much.
Oh, dude, no.
Patrons.
Hydra Australians, bro. From Stingray.
Okay.
Okay.
Steve, that's a Steve Irwin joke.
Yeah.
Which was the style at the time?
Wonderful.
Isn't that like almost 20 years ago now?
You were like an infant.
That was like the first time I was ever sad.
Yeah, were you like 4 years old?
That was the first time I understood the concept of death. Like,
I saw Luigi die in a Mario 64 machinima, and I was crying for days and nights. And
who the fuck is Ryan Garcia?
I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for supporting the show. So what do we have to look forward to on our next week's patron exclusive and week after's next main episode?
That is a box.
So next on the docket for our Patreon episode, we pulled the raffle winner. They did not get back to us yet again. So I had to pull again. And
they were actually, funny enough, they were one spot away from Casebook Walt.
They were,
and we were so good. We could have put our finger on the scale.
But the winner was Dr. Ironic, and I am pleased to announce our next bonus episode will be on Richard Kelly's Director's Jail masterpiece, Southland Tales.
Southland Tales. Let's fucking go. Sarah Michelle Gellar and the Pixies. I will be in my wheelhouse.
All right, Cole just started playing with the soundboard, and I just heard the thing Shadow says that is, I will not say because Miguel will take that out of context and use that against me. It's a power fantasy. Like, Yes, I would love to sport like a cute red dress and kick dogs in the face.
My name is Liz. You can follow me Twitter at Liz_IRL. I'm going to be doing a big fucking video essay about Ultraman Tiga with my good friend Mako, where it's looking extremely good. We're talking about some cool shit in there, the themes, the production history. We're talking about Akio Jisoji in there, and like Chiaki J. Konica before his downfall. It's gonna be fucking sick. Follow me on Twitter and see all my stuff on the Marco Satsu channel on YouTube if you want to see some of the stuff I already got. Yeah.
Links in the description. All right, so look forward to that. Southline Tales and Green Lantern. If you want to support the show, if you want to get that delicious, exclusive, premium, gold-plated content, just $3 a month, patreon.com/marvelousdeath. Thank you all so much for listening to the show. Thank you all so much for supporting it. And we will see you next week.
Thank you. I love you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Love you, listeners. Bye.
This is my fight song. Take back my life song. Prove I'm alright song.
This is painful, and it will be for a long time. But I want you to remember this.
This one's for all my meaners. This one's for all my bangers.
Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall. 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 Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall.
Shout out to Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Shout out to Jim.
Hi, Jim.